You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Let's Fly. My name is Davey. I will be your host and moderator for this, the BQN's exclusive limited run recap series of Star Trek Discovery's final season. I am joined today by an all-star cast of BQN hosts and network patrons. And if you haven't been following along, with the show up until now, just know that if you are watching live, you can chat along with us in the live YouTube chat or on Facebook, or if you are watching on the Trexperts Quiz Twitch page, where this is also streaming, you can feel free to engage with us and share your thoughts on the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, Whistlespeak. Remember, if you actually want to be on the show, you can do so by becoming a BQN network patron by heading over to patreon.com/BQN. If you join up even at our lowest tier level of patron member, you are eligible to be on the show. If you sign up at one of the higher levels, you get all kinds of other fun perks, script reads, early releases of our shows. It's really, really good stuff. So, we've got a lot to dive into today with the latest episode, Whistlespeak. So I am going to bring on all of our people today. Hang on a sec. Wait, what's that? Can anyone hear that? That whistle? Is that what's that whistle saying to us? That didn't work out quite how I wanted it to, but never mind. There was supposed to be a whistle there. We were going to be communicating with it. But hey, Amy, JJ, Peter, Jim and Jim's dinner, and Jonathan. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Fly. So we're going to dive straight into it with everyone's initial reactions to a very different episode in tone and story and character development for our final season of Discovery. Whistlespeak, very old school. I've heard some people say very TNG-esque with the alien and the planet and the problem of the week, very humanoid-looking aliens as well at that. But I want to get your initial reactions coming out of this episode. I'll start with my friend JJ. How are you feeling after sitting through this episode? And how many times have you watched?
So I've only gotten to watch it once, and I actually just watched it like a little over an hour ago because of work. So I'll be in the same boat that Amy's in. But I enjoyed the episode. It was a good, kind of gave me that TNG vibe. Definitely a different change in pace. But overall, yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. It was good. And a lot of discussion about God and spiritual things that seems to be an undertone this season. So
Absolutely. And Amy, as a TNG purist, did you get those TNG vibes as well?
Oh, absolutely. Like, who watches the Watchers, I'm sure, is what first comes to mind. And I just love it because every series you need to have your captain be, no, I'm not a god. It's just technology. And this is discoveries, we got that in New Eden, Pike got that when he went down there and it was like, oh, you must be gods. And no. So it's definitely has a very wonderful Trek feel to it. I was so sad not to see Mahler Locke because from last week with all that we learned, I'm dying to know the connection between Book and Mull. I mean, there's got to be more to it. So I missed that actually, but fine episode.
Yeah, there was fewer kind of B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M,
Right.
N, O, P plots going on this time around. We kind of only had the Dr. Culper plot was really, and there was a little bit Adira stuff going on as well, but it was very largely focused on the planet and the problem. My alternative title for this episode, by the way, is Balls to the Wall, Breaking the Prime Directive. But
Oh, we need to talk about that.
Peter, how about you?
Yeah, similar to Amy and JJ. I mean, I enjoyed it. Like you said, it's reminded me of 90s track, having that first contact, pre-warp civilization story. So I think it was a good throwback to those types of episodes. There was also I noticed sort of a little similarity to the Strange New World season 1 episode with the I think Lift Us, where suffering cannot reach, that aspect of it towards the end. So it kind of, but this one I kind of enjoyed this resolution better than the Strange New Worlds resolution to that type of story. Um, um, but yeah, I mean, even having the aliens with their little facial makeup, similar to what's been done in the past. So there's a lot of these little um, connections and references to episodes past. So I think that was good. I was also like Amy. I was also a little surprised that Marlon Locke wasn't there, especially since they were such a key part of the last week's episode. So I was wondering if they're kind of doing this almost like alternating episodes and kind of focusing on that character, but we're kind of running out of time. So I think they'll probably bring them back a little bit more since there's only a few, like four left. But overall, it was a good watch, and I also kind of liked that there really wasn't that huge, action sequence, special effects sequence that they had. So in a way, I kind of like this type of conversation a little bit better, at least for one time.
Yeah, the biggest action sequence we got was kind of like a high school cross country foot race.
Which is it's a little like Discovery season 1. That there was a little some foot races on board the ship back in the day. So
There
another
was.
little reference there.
I was waiting to see if maybe they might
Yeah.
make reference to the fact that Burnham
Yeah.
and Tilly used to go jogging together, but.
Yeah.
Jim McMahon, as he peers at us from over the top of his dining room table, what were your reactions to the episode?
I'm probably gonna be the naysayer on this one. I didn't like the episode as much as other episodes this season, mostly because Prime Directive breaking episodes have never been something I've been a huge fan of. But that doesn't mean there weren't parts of the episode I didn't like. Is there was some stuff I did like. Like I enjoyed the rate. Like I enjoyed the Adira storyline. I enjoyed parts of the Culver storyline. But the whole Burnham breaks the Prime Directive, it just didn't appeal to me for whatever reason.
It was my least favorite part of the episode, Jim, and it's not that she broke the Prime Directive, it's that she broke it really quickly and then she broke it really hard.
Yeah.
She didn't break it at all.
Oh, all right.
We will get there.
All right. Jonathan, you've watched it 10 times. How are you feeling about it?
I watched it 3 times and then just yesterday. And you're talking a big game there, Davey. I want to see you do a salt cube and then run this race without any water.
Sure.
I loved every minute of this episode. From the beginning to the end. It is classic Trek, and it does what classic Trek does best. And for those who said they've only seen it once, you have to watch it a second time, just in part because the reveal that we'll talk about when we find out about at the end of the journey, how you get to meet the gods. You want to go back and think about that lady that you see from the very beginning and how she's talking about things and with her friend, because we make all kinds of assumptions that turn out to, like, those are actually a little foreshadowing that they're throwing at us, that there's going to be some sort of problem here. But I loved all of it. It's interesting you guys mentioned TNG vibes. I got a little bit of a Voyager vibe in the story of like the caretaker and the Okapa and the relationship they had going on here. And I think as we'll talk about a little bit later, I agree with Amy. I'm not sure there was a prime directive violation considering the entire situation that is at hand. This episode is really about technology, its effects on life, and the responsibility of those two things. And again, it does it in such a way that I think only Star Trek can, because it's also a story about now.
Well, I think if we go back to the beginning of the episode, our setup does sort of, we kind of get taken through, all right, hey, I found the name of all the scientists. Here's the one you haven't found yet. It's this Denobulan guy. I was kind of hoping we might go to Denobula and see some of them, but, that was the thing. But they had set up these towers, these weather towers, and hid them in these mountains or hills, which are now being sort of worshipped as shrines to the gods because they bring the rain and all that kind of stuff. So there'd already been some influence over the people of this planet from the Denobulans, right? So is
Well,
that
I was looking at it this way. I go a step further. They only survive because the prime directive has already been broken, because the Denobulans have intervened. I think that at the end they talk about like, oh, what was the lesson here? I'm like, I think you guys got part of it, but I think they miss like how big this is. Is that the Denobulans doing this wonderful act intervened with their technology to try to help the species and save them, but they didn't address the real underlining issue, is that this planet doesn't have enough water to begin with, right? If they were going to come there and like drop off water and then be self-sustaining, but they were dependent on technology that they did not even know about, and set up a situation that was really dangerous and harmful for that society. They were completely dependent on this technology that was slowly breaking down. The other four that had broken down and were gone, those people are made to seem as if they don't exist anymore, which makes that last one even more important, that they were willing to offer sacrifices because of needing it and not understanding. And so I think it's such an important lesson that they do in a purely like perfect Star Trek way of talking about the dangers of using technology their way. Like, yes, use the technology to save them, but you're only putting a band-aid on the situation. And you could also make the argument that they held back this civilization because the civilization hasn't been able to advance at all.
Mm. Amy, is that more in line with how you were thinking of the breaking or not breaking of the Prime Directive?
Exactly. Like that was broken a long time ago. And looking at how the planet is, like they really should not be there. The only reason why they were growing and had population on that planet was because of those towers that was controlling the weather. So they were fixing a problem that they needed to fix. It was their responsibility. There's no prime directive
Hmm.
because their existence is based off just exactly what you were saying, Jonathan. So I don't buy the whole prime directive bit at all.
Paperwork on this one won't be as long as they made it out to be.
Yeah. So at the start of the episode, we get a lot of very quick advancement of different parts of the plot. So we get a relatively satisfying puzzle solving of the distilled water and figuring out where it came from. And then you kind of get a bit of rushed, like, oh, by the way, I've been researching who all the scientists are in the background. Here's the list of names.
Oh, yes. By the way, Amy, did you like the fact one of them was a Betazoid?
Oh,
What?
oh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. That was
yeah. That could be
and
next week. Next
y
week.
so does she just get to go to was she called into the infinity room?
I think so, yeah. But did you
Yeah.
notice what the first name of the Betazoid was?
Uh-uh.
Marina.
Oh my gosh, shut up. I didn't even oh my gosh.
Did not
I'm
pick up on
surprised
that at
that has
all.
not been out there. Jim, you are the first one to tell me, so thank you.
There you go. You just broke the internet
And
by
shame on all
revealing.
of the rest of you.
Yeah.
I know I feel ultra shame having seen it 3 times and not noticed.
Yeah, yeah. Peter, how did you feel about the sort of setup for this episode? I mean, we've only got 10 episodes, so we're gonna have to, skip over some things pretty quickly because for this plot. But how did you find that whole being summoned to the Infinity Room? And hey, by the way, here's half the puzzle just figured out for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit ambivalent or sort of so-so about that. I think it's more like writing a scene to sort of move the plot along without spending too much time, since like you said, there's not a whole lot. So I think I like bringing Kovish back, so it's always nice to see him. And I actually like the little callback to the legal pad, because I'm kind of like that person as well. So I do tend to write on paper
Same.
from time to time. So I like that little callback. But it was just one of those things, I think it was more like a plot device um to they couldn't exactly figure out where the next clue where should be going. So Kovic, like, okay, sort of, here it is. It actually, now that you mention it, reminds me a little bit of Enterprise with Agent Daniels from time to time, because when Archer kind of got stuck with with the temporal core, sometimes Daniel kind of comes in and helps him out and gives him a clue, or tells him what the next step is. So there was a little bit of that. But I guess it served its purpose. It kind of moved them to the next step. So even though it was um, a different way than the last few episodes.
Yeah. And JJ, what about you, especially with the setup? And then there was a bit of a fun sequence with figuring out the whistling. Personally, the Whistlespeak was one of my favorite little elements of this episode, and Burnham really relishing being in that, Xeno, I can't pronounce the word, kind of mode.
Xenolinguistic or xenoanthropology.
Yes.
And
Xeno something or other. Oh, it was very cute, because that's supposed to be her specialty, and it was really cute to see. I don't know, I found it really cute to see her in her element like that.
I
So
did enjoy seeing how excited she was about it.
yeah, yeah,
I will admit that part of the plot was good.
100%, 100%. JJ, how did you find the setup?
So actually, the whistle speak kind of like it. I didn't. Well, I don't really like the title of the episode. I didn't really like how they did that. Didn't appeal to me, but that whole scene was very exciting to me, in that she was genuinely excited. Like, she did a great job performing that scene. And then I felt like they touched based on what was it called, the Helm Knights or whatever, and how the society was, and how they had, was it 3 distinct different leaders and stuff like that. So that was something that I was like, oh, you know they're really going far here. So it shows how in depth it is, and I don't know, I felt like that was well done in that particular scene, and well delivered.
Yes, and they were 3 distinct, like biological genders as well, right? Like, so you could be assigned either of the or all 3 of those genders at birth, which was really interesting. So yeah, and that's always just cool. Discovery just being Discovery, and throwing that kind of diversity in there, which I love. And then we kind of get to see, we head down to the planet, and we see the design, a very simple, dialed back alien design with just some funny little markings on the forehead. Amy, what did you think of this?
to be honest with you, I thought it was part of the ritual to go and save, and that this is what you needed to do to participate and to be a worshiper. I did not think this was a alien trait.
Was it Jonathan?
I thought it was ritual.
Jonathan, did they have these from the beginning, or did they paint these on?
Yeah, no, this is definitely the way that the alien species look. It was,
Okay, yeah.
when I saw it, it's underwhelming, but I realized, like, okay, there's, budget concerns, and there's about to be a lot of them. It's like, you're gonna have too many of them to do anything that's gonna take real time. So we're gonna get, a very simple alien design, which I'm fine with it. And I think it actually like goes more to the point. Um, this story is in somewhat about Earth. They mentioned the three genders. Rava is non-binary,
Hmm.
right? So, and it's important that Rava, this innocent child, is the one who really like would have won the journey, right? Is willing to sacrifice their self
Hmm.
for their people.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could even probably even speak to some of the or almost the environmental aspects, kind of being a bit of a callback to what's going on Earth right now at the moment too.
Mhm.
The other
Yeah,
interesting thing. Oh, sorry, go on.
no, I was just going to say that they, make a point of saying that this species has no class and everyone is viewed equally.
Hmm.
And they do it in this, again, just one little simple one sentence, but that's supposed to be like our lesson, one of the lessons to take from in watching this episode, I feel.
Peter, eye tricorders and their sudden appearance. How did you feel about that?
I, I actually found it a little bit unsettling to watch. I don't know if it's just me or not, but just watching that, I wasn't a big fan of that. I guess they wanted to give another example of 30-second advancement in technology and uh, things that exist now that didn't exist anytime before. So they did it that way. Um, but I when I saw that, I kind of thought about, 'cause I'm always afraid of things getting into my eyes. So then it's just like, I don't think I would be able to handle that one. I'll just stick with a regular, you know, 23rd or 24th century tricorder instead. Uh, but it was interesting. At least they're trying to do. I think from this season, they're trying to settling into the 32nd century with the portable transporters and the all the new technologies, the floating the cells and all that stuff that we've been seeing the last couple of years. So this is another addition to you know that world.
Yeah, and you've just got to just assume that, well, they've had them all along and it just made sense to introduce them now because they were trying to be more covert. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it would kind of make sense to just be using them all the time, though, don't you think, Jim? Or do you think, retinal tricorders should only be used in special situations?
I think they should. It does make sense that they would be used all the time, but I think it would make more sense to use them like in certain situations only, like if you're undercover on a in a pre-warp civilization, for example.
Hmm.
L- like imagine the situations that could have been avoided, like if a retinal tricorder had been in existence during the TNG era. Like Riker could have been in it. Riker could have been in and out of Melkor 3 in about 5 minutes, and not and wouldn't have had to get freaky deaky with that one woman.
Interesting way to put it. We were
I was
kind.
trying to tone it down for
Oh, have you heard the way I talk on this show? There's no need to tone anything down, Jim. That's fine. No, we were talking about this a little bit before the episodes went to air, and we were sort of saying, this kind of technology is believable. It's 1,000-ish years in the future. Do you think we could probably achieve retinal tricorders earlier than this? JJ, what was your take on the retinal tricorder?
Actually, I think it's really cool technology. And I think it's actually exciting, and I think it's actually something that we are pretty much on the verge of doing. Well, aside from the tricorder part, right? Today, right? Like being able to see things in an augmented reality type of fashion.
Mhm.
So absolutely, it should be. It makes sense, right? That we should be able to do something like this in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was a little thrown off seeing the eye lit up, and I was also thinking to myself, that's not gonna, that's not enough camouflage if your eyes lighting up like that, and people are gonna be like, "What is wrong with you?" So, yeah.
Very true. Very, very true. When I saw like the trailer for the episode and all the stuff with the dust, I was sort of saying before we went to air, I was like, I thought that they were going to be like high on dust and it was going to be like June spice melange addiction kind of stuff, but I was pleasantly surprised. Amy?
So Is this like a contact lens or is this connected to the brain? Are we not fearing the Borg or, or the synths? Like, what's the connection between the technology and the biology? That's what I want to know.
I assumed it was a contact lens.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not really
Then how does
explained.
it know when to scan?
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
don't
like
Like
know.
the brain has to tell it. I don't know.
well, it's like how does the instant transporter know where to go? It's
Or how does the communicator always know which person to instantly contact when they say
Yeah.
like instant sniff or something like that?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's always been an element throughout Star Trek of technology having some sort of symbiosis with us, right? So it doesn't go as hardcore as other like steampunky science fiction goes where we become fully augmented. It's our interaction with technology is far more organic. Even the LCARs from the TNG era, those displays, I've read like the Okuda's kind of version of, or the idea of it, were meant to change and be conducive to whatever task you were performing. So there's got to be some sort of, that's got to be AI at work and prediction of behavior or some kind of algorithm that can sense what you're going to do and when you're going to do it and how you're going to need to use it. Do you think that kind of explains it a little bit more, Amy?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
So we get introduced to the aliens on the planet, whose name I can't remember, so I'm going to look to Jonathan.
The Hellemnites.
That's right.
And they refer to each other as compeers.
That's right. So we meet them, and one of them is quite unwell, and then we get this really kind of crazy ceremony to kind of get the dust out of her lungs. Very, very intense scene, by the way. This is where I still thought that we were going to go down the path of some kind of weird, trippy, acidy kind of episode. What did we think of the introduction of this alien race, Peter?
Uh, I remember being a little bit puzzled at that stage of the episode. I just kind of didn't know. Yeah, I sort of didn't know what they were going through or what they were going through. So I was kind of just almost like sort of taking it in and trying to seeing where the story would lead us, because I think at that stage it was still a little bit kind of unknown or uncertain. I think once the race started, I think that's kind of, for me, it cleared it up a little bit more. But that first stage was kind of unknown. I did like there was a little reference to I think it was to the bowl that they were using in that scene. So it's actually like I think it's called a Tibetan bowl or something. So it's a
Buddhist
Buddhist, Buddhist.
meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was kind of nice they kind of referenced that. I said, I kind of recognize that little thing. So, yeah, but I think probably because I've only seen it once so far, so I think if I were to watch it again, as Jonathan recommended, I think that scene might mean more given what happens later on in the episode.
I think that scene, in a way, is a little microcosm of the entire episode, right? Right before they bring out the bulls, they're talking about, oh, if we could just use our technology, we just need to use our technology, we could save this person's life. She doesn't need to die. She doesn't need to die. And then they use a very different type of older technology to accomplish the same exact thing.
Mm. Someone had mentioned sort of the spiritual undertones of this and how that's kind of underpinning the whole season too, because even when Burnham talks about technology and all that at the end, it's like, no, this doesn't mean that your gods aren't there, right? Like what you believe is still what you believe, and this doesn't change any of that at all. Jonathan, I wonder if you
Go ahead.
go. No, you go. I was just going to ask you to sort of share
Well, I was
your
going to
thoughts.
say, since you're talking about the spirituality, there's obviously then, Dr. Culber's whole conversation and After watching the scene with his dead abuela,
Mm.
I wrote down, I said, okay, there's now more than a non-zero chance that Culber is going to ascend by the end of the series.
Hmm.
Just about the way he's going about talking things. But yeah, I think spirituality is also is a huge part of this. They were seeing weaved in a little bit in this episode, in a not so subtle way, but overall throughout the season. And the way they handled it with Culber, felt was like a semi clumsy, that like he doesn't think to check his brain himself, and then he needs the engineer to help him do the brain scan, which was a little odd. But help me go through this brain scan could just be like, will you sit with me as I have my brain scan? So maybe I was reading a little too much into it, as far as that. But go ahead with what you were going to say.
No, and I'm glad you brought up the whole scene with Culper and his abuela, because that was a whole another interesting thing with the use of technology and how it scanned his brain to create a holographic representation of someone who has been dead for hundreds and hundreds of years, and how that could potentially be used as a therapy. I don't know, JJ, do you think that would be an effective form of therapy? Like, if you could use that technology to speak to someone you've lost, would you do it?
I think I would. I think there could be some very profound, cathartic things that could be addressed by talking to somebody, that you like, words you never got to say to somebody, right? Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be beneficial, especially today. That would be really good.
What about you, Jim?
Well, first off, how much you want to bet Wilson had a blast acting in Spanish for on Star Trek?
True,
but
true.
yeah, but getting to the point, I'm not sure I would use that. I'm not sure I would use that as a mode of therapy. It's just kind of creepy, in my opinion.
Mm. But I wonder, and I can see you might want to say something similar, Amy, but I wonder, having lost someone recently, I wonder if I was presented with that opportunity to just have one more conversation, you got to wonder what that temptation might be like. Amy, what were you going to say?
All right. So this whole thing was just wonderful. My favorite character is Troy. What does she do? She's a counselor. I have my master's in educational counseling. And this whole thing with Abuela and talking to is called the empty chair theory. And it was brought to our attention by Gestalt, a very famous, you know, human person. What do they call when you study the
Psychologist, therapist?
Yeah, psychologist. Thank you.
but also a human person, yes.
Yeah, that one too. But so what they've done is taken this empty chair theory, which is very valid and it works wonderfully, and then just brought it to the future of saying, well, why talk to an empty chair when we can have these scans? We can have this vision, and now we have AI to interact with.
Mhm.
So I think it's just taking this, sound technique and putting it in the future. I would totally I mean, even though I know it would be fake, like, I would be calling up my mom all the time. Like, it would give me comfort, and that's all I need.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to, as I said, I'd love to have the opportunity to talk to my sister who recently passed.
Right.
Like, how amazing would that be? I liked the because we haven't really kind of got a lot of Culper and Stamets as a married couple of late, and it's always kind of been the vibe is to not make a big deal of it. It's just that this is a married couple that work together, and that's it, right? There's no there's no tropes around it or cliches around them as a gay couple. But there was an interesting exploration here of a couple who see things differently and have one's more spiritual, one's more scientific, but kind of Culper learning that that's okay. That they can, it's all right for him to have some stuff that's just for him. Because I think about that in my own relationship. I've got Star Trek. Anthony's got his sports and football that I don't totally get. He doesn't totally get Star Trek. It's obviously on a different plane, but I've loved, I don't know, and I'll go to Peter. How have you found this is just another exploration of the nuances of adult relationships? How did you find this?
Yeah, no, I think that's good that they're talking about this or incorporating these types of issues into their interrelationship, and we see them because, I mean, in the real world, outside of the show itself, just all of us are, if we, um, with our relationships, there'll be some overlap, common interests, but it may end up being a little bit, maybe quote unquote boring if everyone is exactly the same. So of course, with IDIC and that type of philosophy, just having differences is good as well. And I think we could kind of learn from each other, the differences that we have. So I think using, Stamets and Culber as sort of representing of that, I think is a good thing, which I think kind of Discovery has
Hmm.
talked about, kind of focus a little bit more on than with this storyline. So I think that's good that they're doing that.
Absolutely. JJ, what did you take away from the subplot with Culper?
A few things. One, I saw that Stamets is very different, right, and Culber is very different as well. Um, there were a couple moments where I thought Culber kind of felt like he lost his spirituality. Like it's always been there, but with the technology and everything, you kind of forget it, right? And then like this season is kind of like bringing him around to that. But I think one of the things that I think was very important in that particular scene to me, anyways, is that I, often we feel or we forget that the diversity between us helps us rediscover things about ourselves. And that was Stamets helping him to rediscover his spiritual side. And that was, to me, that was a perfect example of why we should embrace diversity and why diversity is a good thing throughout society and in our individual lives.
It was such a beautiful, supportive, loving partner moment for him to go, yes, I'll help you with this. And, good news, like, even though you haven't kind of figured out the way you're feeling yet, you're perfectly healthy and there's nothing physically wrong with you. So, whatever's, and it kind of came to that whole conclusion of like, you have to just enjoy this. It was really, I found it really, really beautiful and really touching. Jonathan, what were your thoughts on the Culper Stamets plot?
Yeah, I agree with what everyone has said here. It is touching. It's shows again, I think what a real adult relationship is supposed to be like, at least a healthy one, as opposed to what's going on with Maul and Locke. I know Amy's got high hope for that, but they're showing that they don't have to see things exactly the same. Paul's going through his own thing, in a way, trying to figure out what is he going to be doing, because his whole thing was he was the center of running the engine, right? They couldn't jump without him, and that drive is being phased out. And we see Dr. Culber's going through this spirituality. I think this is part of, he lost his spirituality when they went into the future. I think they're still realizing that, like, that really messed them up in a lot of ways, losing a connection to everything that they had and knew. And that's why, he needed to talk to his abuela. So I don't really know exactly where they're going to go with this spiritual connection. I do feel like this is going to have to do something that we'll find out about only probably in the final episode. There's what, two more pieces to the puzzle. So that should be episodes 7 and 8, and then I'm guessing 9 and 10 will be our grand finale where we get a full conclusion. I hope this is not just some sort of off side note that becomes a subplot that never gets finished. But I guess we'll wait and see.
And to round us off, Jim, before we kind of go back to the main plot of the episode, yeah, we also got some moments towards the end where there's kind of been this interesting spiritual kind of mentorship and guidance between Culper and Book as well. It's subtle, but it's kind of there. Do you think that we might see a little bit more of a friendship kind of blossom and bloom between the two of them?
It it did kind of seem like a friendship was forming.
Mm.
For me, it kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere. But I did like the idea of a friendship forming between those two. And I hope to God we see more scenes like that in the future, because I did really, really enjoy that scene where Book helped where Book helped Culver realize you don't need to figure this out, dude. You're a man of science, but you don't have to have an answer for everything. All you have to do is just believe.
Yeah, yeah. Amy?
So, can I ask a question? I feel like with Booker telling us, or, telling who he's with, like his relationship with Burnham, like, oh, yeah, I felt that way with Burnham. I loved Burnham. And we're getting his side of him loving. We don't know what Burnham is thinking at all.
Mm.
She doesn't talk about him to Tilly, no one. They've got to get back together. This will be even more heartbreaking if we learn how much he truly did love her for them not to get back together. So when you hear Booker explaining and recounting his love, what do you guys feel?
Yeah, actually, I related to that because I was thinking, I think the more we see them, as the episodes proceed, the more that I think they would get that back, at least by the end of, the end of 10. So I think with a couple of weeks ago with the time travel one, in which we kind of got a little bit about what Michael was thinking, and with yesterday's episode, we got a little bit of what Booker was thinking. So and I think they're kind of both kind of on the same track. Yeah, and then
Good.
in a few episodes, at least the romantic in me kind of hopes that they will get together and kind of closes off the show, but they'll be together. So I guess we'll see. But it seems like the signs are kind of pointing us, at least pointing to that direction. Yeah.
I like that.
Jonathan, I could see you poised to say something before.
Well, yeah, but I mean, well, Amy said we don't know how Michael feels. I feel that we do know that how Michael feels. Exactly as Peter was saying in the time episode, she goes through the loop where she encounters Book, and she tells him that she loves him. And then later on, without provocation, in the next episode, I believe it is, she's mentions like, oh well, yeah, there was, there was some one fun thing, and and that was again unprovoked. So she does love him. She I think is being cautious. She doesn't know that he feels the same way, which now we, the audience, know that he feels the same way. So she needs to find out, and I think that's what will devolve over the next couple episodes. That we'll see them come together. Also, keep in mind, like, I'm not sure that he's free of his criminal charges at this point. He's supposedly only there like on loan to help, because this is a priority red mission or whatever they called it.
Red Directive.
Yeah. So
Red directive.
yeah,
Yeah,
red directive. There we go. So I'm not sure, like once the red directive's complete, maybe that'll be such a big accomplishment that it'll clear his sentence and he'll be free and can be back with her. But as of right now, like he's still technically a prisoner on loan to different areas, supposedly helping to do good works.
Indeed, indeed. I'll end this with also saying as well that I really, really want some mofongo after seeing that final scene. I tried
But the Mofongo Replicate.
I
The
know.
Mofongo
But I've only ever had mofongo once in my life. It was at a street food fair in Brooklyn, and I loved it because you can't plantains just aren't really a thing in Australia. And anyway, Amy,
So, can I just share that I had Mofongo in Puerto Rico with Wilson Cruz? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That was one of the cruise excursions that I got was Wilson
Oh.
Cruz down in Puerto Rico, and we were
Oh, can I just
so
say?
can I
He's
just
my
name
humble
drop?
So you
brag for
made
the
it kind of
episode.
claiming that you had Culver's grandma's mofongo, whatever it is.
That's right, I can say I sort of have.
And mofongo
Thank
is
you, Wilson
delicious.
Cruz.
If you've
It
never not had it,
is.
it's so good. Yeah.
So good.
All right. So I want to jump back now to the main plot, and especially the introduction of these two characters. So this was the father and child, and we often kind of got this in those old TNG or Voyager episodes. You know, there was always like a young person who was far more curious about the new arrivals than everyone else who was kind of really
Oh, she here?
They-
Oh, she was curious. That's
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
yeah. And you know, it was. What do we think of the introduction of these characters and their relationship, Jonathan? I'll start with you.
So I liked it. I like that, so the story is that the mother passed away, and then the father brings them to this place when they are a small child and takes over to become like the preacher, or I forgot, with a technical term they use, but basically the person who carries on and mentions on the ritual. So um I think that's interesting kind of aspect that they like came there and found this as like a safe haven. Um, the relationship seems good, healthy. They are encouraged by their father. Their father supports them. This is a very like equal society. They are a little precocious, right? A little too proud of themselves, and the father is trying to check that and say, no, we we all take you know equal pleasure in doing things and want to see each other succeed, which we then see play a little bit later on out in that journey. I do think it seems that the arrival of Tilly and Michael is almost an excuse for Rava to call for this journey, wanting to have done something that they're just to sacrifice themselves for their people, because Rava's the one who gives them the idea. Rava's the one who says, well, all you have to do is ask, right? Isn't that right, Father? All you have to do is ask. Okay, ask. And they show up the next morning and, oh, you're running to Rava, and oh, all these other people are inspired. Which at that point I go, okay, full stop. I'd say, what did I just sign up for? Like, what are they inspired by? What exactly does this challenge entail? But that's me. And it being Michael and Tilly, and the fact that they need to do this anyways, I could totally see them not stopping to ask. Like Michael would stop to ask, whatever it is, like I can deal with it. Sure, no problem. Um, but I thought that was interesting and well done too. I didn't think that the salt sand cube, whatever it was, that was a interesting little test. It's a um gave me TNG and like Voyager vibes about like the physical challenges that you would see in any kind of like spiritually related episode that they would make the characters go through. Um, Obviously the whole episode's of this like religious story about the what was listed as the mother compeer on her journey, and not drinking water as she was saving it for her kids. And so I loved the temptation part, right? So they had to then carry the water, and Rava drops their bowl, and as soon as the father says no compeer can go forward with an empty bowl, Tilly then stops, realizing, wait, empty bowl, well, my bowl is full of water. They didn't say how full it had to be, and then pour some of her water into their bowl so they can continue on, repaying the favor that Rava did earlier as Tilly was starting to hallucinate, and kind of spinning around, and shakes Tilly and says, like, I thought you were going to give me our competition. Like, we're the last two here.
Yeah, this whole race element was it was a really interesting kind of part of the plot. And I I wonder, I don't know, JJ, did you kind of also pick up on there was a lot about Tilly going on here as well, kind of subtly. Did you pick up on some of that stuff? Maybe some setup for the Starfleet Academy show? Did you pick up on any of
Oh
that?
yeah. Yeah, like when Burnham and Tilly are walking through the woods, and she's expressing some of the challenges she's trying to resolve with cadets not seeming to want to complete the academy. Definitely, I felt like this was a potential learning opportunity for Tilly to apply or address some of those issues. And I think that moment where Tilly, you know, stopped and went back and gave water to the other uh, racer,
Mm.
that was a moment that I think it was like a epiphany for her to like realize that maybe she needs to change the way she's looking at things, to help her with her issues with the academy and cadets. So yeah, that's what I got from it.
Yeah, there was some.
One thing I want to add on to that real quick. There's the line that Michael says, like, it's fine, we're prepared. We have Starfleet training. Until he immediately responds with, "Yeah, keep thinking that." Um, and it's like telling you that, like, oh, there really is a problem going on at the academy, and I think was like kind of a perfect setup. And I hadn't thought of it the way that JJ mentioned there, but that could definitely be part of it, because Tilly mentions the students, quote, are not getting what they need. I don't know what the problem is.
And we had some other cathartic moments during the race as well, where Burnham discovers the console with the old Isolinier chips in it, and Adira, who has clearly been kicking themselves over the time bug situation, got a little bit of a chance at redemption. Jim, you look like you've got some thoughts on that.
I thought that was a great character development for Rayner, who prior to that
Mm.
point was pretty much Mr. Prickly the entire for most of the season. But then we see him give great character. We see him give great character advice to. Uh, I don't know why my mind is blanking to Adira, and
Yeah.
I thought it was a great change of command pace for him, which was Chef's Kiss. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was perfect.
It was a nice little way to kind of work that in. Amy, was this a little bit too much of a blink and you'll miss it, or was it just the right amount of resolution to that little thread for Adira?
Okay.
Did you blink and miss it? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Okay. I'm so sorry. I was focused on answering a previous question. Yeah, it was good. Adira needed that. And yes, there is prelude to Tilly doing Starfleet Academy. That was like bonk bonk on the head. It was a little too much. I'm like, okay, we get it. You're gonna be in Academy.
Yeah.
The question that I really wanted to answer was, how was this whole race and that storyline? Did any of you watch Foundation on Apple?
I
Yeah,
haven't
with
finished. I haven't finished the second
Mm.
season, but yeah.
oh, well, okay. Well, he has to run, it's a desert, it's
Yes,
the
that's in the
day
first
god.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's got and, and it's like you can't let your knees hit the ground, and so if you stumble, then you're out. If you drink water, you're out.
Mhm.
Um, this part of the episode, and I hate to say, with Tilly losing the air with the other compeer, like, that drug on for so long, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Are we still suffocating? Are we still racing? What?" I'm sorry, and there was fire in thank you. Do you see that picture? If you're watching this YouTube,
That was my one nitpick as well. The fire, like, and come on, Tilly, to put out the fire. But yes,
yeah, that's gonna burn up all your oxygen, and okay, but it was a little too long. I loved the characters, the father, the daughter, that whole relationship. it just was too long as me talking about it going on too long. I've said enough. I will shut up.
Well, let me ask this, Amy. Did you realize before this scene here that it was going to be a sacrifice?
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that old lady.
Really? Okay.
Well, that and also when the dad was like, "You don't have to run. You don't have to run this to his child." That kind of like screams like he knew it was going to
Mm-hmm.
be a sacrifice, and he didn't want to, and he didn't want to lose his child. But I admit I didn't realize that in the view at the time in that scene. But come the end of the episode,
Mhm,
that it clicked in. Like that's why he
mhm,
said that because he knew he didn't want to lose the kid.
I feel like you couldn't call back to this kind of Star Trek storyline without it being a sacrifice.
mhm,
It is one of the most cliche Star Trek slash sci-fi things imaginable.
It
Am I?
goes all the way back to 1966.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've even done it in Strange New Worlds already with
mhm,
the child sacrifice.
mhm,
Yeah. It's.
Oh,
Am I mad
I guess I'm
about?
always surprised by child sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, shock. Yeah, I don't know if I'm overly mad about it. I rolled my eyes a little bit when it happened, but I was like, okay, cool. I saw this coming from a million miles away, and this sets up the final bit of conflict that we have to resolve, which is, Burnham, all right, I've got to beam in there and help fix this. Now I think we've already unpacked the did they or did they not break the Prime Directive. Now,
mhm,
I'll touch on it again very briefly because we've certainly heard the argument, for did they break the Prime Directive or not? Like, is it okay to break the Prime Directive if it's already been broken? I'm going to pick on JJ for this one.
I think it is, right? Like, well, there's kind of a mess, right? Like the Denobulans building those towers, they even though it helped save them, right? It changed the culture for that whole alien race to put this concept of sacrifice into their religion and stuff like that. So I do think it was okay and it was the right thing for Burnham to stop the sacrifice and to break the Prime Directive, but I don't technically think she was breaking it because it was already broken.
Yeah, I mean, and Denobulio is part of part of the Federation, right? So, are they, as a member of the Federation, are they beholden to that Prime Directive, or is that more a Starfleet thing? Jim, you're usually pretty knowledgeable on these kind of nuances.
I try and stay away from Prime Directive violations. because-
Fair.
Just like time travel, right? Stay away from
Yeah.
time travel.
Fair. Well, and where did they go? Like, they set these up and well, I mean, obviously there was the burn, but at what point were they going to come in and like, hey, let's just make sure that this technology that we set up is still working? And I don't know, Peter, do you think that the Denobulans kind of, should have done like they did in Lower Decks, which was, what was it called? Like,
Yeah.
Operation Check-In or something like that?
Right. Yeah. Flyby or
Something like that, yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was, I guess, in order to close the loop on the things that they've done, they could have some type of check-in. So this way, that could probably save a lot of problems in the future if they do that. So,
Well,
but I think, yeah.
didn't they also say they erased the existence of these particular towers because of the clue? Sorry for interrupting.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it could have had something to do with that. That bit was a little bit vague for me.
Yeah. And in a way, that section kind of happened so quickly. I think that whole section happened pretty fast. Yeah.
I took it as a lesson of that the other four failed. And so it was just the one that survived. So I don't think it was anything about hiding the technology because they were in number 3 and then found out that the clue was in Tower 5. And then
That's
they
right.
sent Doc there to get the clue. So they were able to get into Tower 5. It just wasn't functioning. And then we saw like there was nothing there, right? It was only that one part of the planet that was still working. So yeah, the Nobula, I think, had a duty to follow up and maintain these towers. And I think that's kind of part of the lesson of this episode and the progenitor's technology, right? It's one thing to say, oh, well, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm going to solve the problem on this planet. I'm going to build 5 towers and they'll have water and it'll be enough to take care of the planet. Well, what if they fail? Who's going to maintain them? You know, and so these are, I think, lessons to think about with whatever they're going to be able to do with the progenitor's technology. Are they going to use it to create any kind of life? Because if so, I feel like that then they are responsible for whatever happens to that life forever. As I think kind of was the lesson in this episode. 800 years had passed that those towers had been there, and the society now is completely different than before the towers were ever installed. And that's I was not really the intention of the people who installed the towers. They thought they were doing it to preserve that society. And in fact, yeah, they kept the people there alive, but the society is completely different.
Mm, mm. And thank you for reminding me of the fact that they realized that the princess was in another castle, if anyone's a video gamer. Because they're like, we're here, like, oh, actually, we're dying, but we've sent the dots to get the clues, so you're good. So we've wrapped up now, and there's that really interesting moment of getting the child to hum and to get the father to kind of snap out of it a little bit. And then we all go on our merry way. This ship has captured Mullen Lock apparently. So final thoughts from everyone today on the resolution and just general final thoughts on the episode. I'll start with Amy. You're on mute. Sorry, Amy.
Okay, good. Thanks for starting with me because I won't have anything magnificent to say. I definitely do need to rewatch, which I will again. Maybe I'll do it after this. It was just a good episode. I'm feeling like from episode 1 and 2, they've just sort of gone down. Nothing bad, just a lull, a breather. I don't know if it's the pacing. Like this one, as I said, it just was very drawn out. But yeah, I'm loving the character developments, the chemistry that they have on screen, everything that we've talked about. Culber, Stamets, Tilly. Oh my gosh, amazing. Um, and then these secondary characters just add to the richness. And so I'm not negative about it, but it's not as good as episode 1 and 2. And maybe that's because I was this build up, with the season and it's going to be its last. And I don't know. I still really like that. And I'm also worried we only have 4 more episodes left. There is a lot to tie up. So come on, let's not be drawn out. Let's get going. So.
Yeah, or get to a point where all of a sudden everything just gets resolved in the last 15 minutes. Look, the progenitor's tech was under the captain's chair the whole time. JJ, what are your final thoughts on the resolution in the end and the episode as a whole?
So, I overall enjoyed the episode, right? Like, there were some throwbacks to TNG. I really did enjoy it. But one of the things that I always take away from Star Trek is some sort of line or some sort of meaningful statement that someone says. And in this particular episode, it was Book who was talking to Colbert at the end, where he says, there's this old human quirk that something is less meaningful if it's only meant for just you. And I feel like that's something that I'm going to take away from this episode and mull over in my head and think about. And so when things like that, when lines like that are in the episode, that kind of leaves like a really good positive feel for me for the episode. And so overall, I definitely enjoyed it.
Peter?
Yeah, I mean, also I enjoyed it. I think probably if I were to rank six so far. This might be in the 3, 4, somewhere in the middle of the pack. And one thing I like that this continued the theme of communications that Discovery touches on from time to time. I think with the whistling, but also with the different conversations that that we listen to. So I think it was another episode that continued the Discovery arc of communications, and I think that's always a good thing. Yeah.
I agree. And Jim?
Anything I would have touched upon has already been said.
Fair enough. And Jonathan, bring us home. Your final thoughts.
So as I said, I love this episode all around. Some of the lines that I take out of this that I'm going to use, I could see myself in the gym. I'm going to be using "body in motion remains in motion." Loved Tilly's little chant there. Go chase your moss. I'm the queen of endurance. I love that line. I think that may be like my new insult. Also, chase your moss. I'm the queen of endurance. Like, um, this episode, I think, is not really probably going to be fully appreciated for a couple years. I think it's going to be one of those episodes that people will come back and come and talk to you because it's a simple episode. In that, like, it's not overly techno babble, right? This is also not an episode that you need to necessarily be dependent on everything else. It is important to know that they're working to build this puzzle, but this is also a great episode that if someone hadn't seen Star Trek and you want to throw them in, they'd be able to catch and follow along with what's going on, and be interested enough to say, okay, well, now I want to know more what's going on with everything else. Um, I have high hopes now. I know last week's episode, like, I was disappointed with. This one exceeded my expectations. In my second watch through of this, I said this is if I have to put on a scale of to 10, this is either a 9 or a 10 in my book. Because of the way the story is told. It's simple things that people can understand from the very beginning. That's like, okay, this is distilled water. We're looking for a dry planet. The race and the story and the religion behind it. I think it's something that you don't even have to be a Star Trek fan that you can enjoy the story. And I think there are multiple layers in here that there's something for everyone to take away, whether it's what Tilly's going through, whether what Michael's going through, whether it's what the people on that planet, the Helumnites, are going through, or what Dr. Culber's going through. I think there's a little something for everyone in this episode, and it's done in a way that seems like only Star Trek can do it, because it takes it out of our current atmosphere and allows us to talk about it in a view that lets us put our shields down.
It'll be interesting. Something you said there has really resonated with me, and how this will be an episode that probably will not be appreciated until the series is all said and done, because I think a lot of people will probably look at it in the context of the fact that they're watching the big, exciting final season adventure, that they won't be able to look at it for the true and touching and well written and performed Star Trek story that this is. And for me, there's a bit of sweetness in Discovery writers. Where has this kind of Star Trek story been all along? Yes, like and thank God we get Strange New Worlds, I guess, for more of this kind of stuff. But Discovery, when it's hitting some of these beats like it was in this episode, it's perfect. It without all the big, there was some cinematic-y kind of moments with the special effects and all that kind of stuff. But when you put all that aside and you focus on the fact that you've got wonderful characters who are quite well developed in some ways, who are at their best when they're all engaging with as an ensemble with their interpersonal relationships, Discovery is really fantastic. So I'll really take that away. And also what I've really appreciated is also just talking about it with you all today, because that's made me realize, actually, no, this is actually probably one of the better episodes of Disco I've ever seen. And like you, Amy, I think I'm going to go away and have to watch it again today.
Hmm.
Because you're always looking for things on that first watch a little bit too much. So I need that chance to sit back and be like, I'm just going to let this wash over me. Amy?
Yeah, and I need to do the subtitle watch because that changes
Mm.
everything, always does.
Absolutely. That's all the time
Yeah,
we
I
have
had no
for
idea.
oh,
I had no idea what they were calling each other the entire first time watch through, and only with the subtitles did I realize it was comp peer, which I love. Peer, like as in we're all peers.
mhm.
Just again with their whole planet of equality, something that we on Earth still have yet to achieve and
Yeah.
to be working towards.
That's all we have time for today. Thank you again to this wonderful panel for always coming on and spending an hour with us just talking Star Trek. It's my favorite time of the week. Before we go, let's just see if anyone's got anything they want to promote, anything that they've got going on, where we can find you online. I am going to start with the wonderful JJ. Surprise.
So you can find me online on jenna.com, and I am on Facebook in the BQN group as well.
And Jonathan?
You can find me on Facebook in the BQN group and under Jonathan Michael Snow.
And the Borg Queen herself, Amy Nelson.
All right. Well, listen, you can hear me on Union Federation, where I talk about this episode in much more detail because I've watched it multiple times. So you can find me there. Also on All Good Things, I co-host that, and I am in our Discord group. So come to Discord, Amy Nelson 522. Our Facebook group, I'm there, and still Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson.
And Jim?
I am in the Facebook group. I am also on Discord, and that's that.
And Peter, you can mention things now that I maybe mentioned last week that I wasn't supposed to mention yet, but I'll let you go for it.
Okay, sure. Sounds good. Well, you can find me. I'm at Peter Trek 1 on X, also on the Discord, and also on Blue Sky. And I just wanted to mention I'm also on at Trek Book Club, and happy to announce that the Trek Book Club podcast is officially a member of the BQN network. So thank you very much, Amy, David, everybody. So it's it's official. It's all there's a back catalog of the previous podcasts that's available through the BQN network, through the Spreaker, and I think it was also uploaded through YouTube. So yeah.
You can search anywhere, Trek Book Club. It'll show up Spotify, Apple, or iHeart. So just search, subscribe. And there is, I noticed as I was downloading it, an episode about Imzadi. So if you need to, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I've started reading because I was afraid that Amy was not going to be my friend after I told her I hadn't read it.
Okay, I'm going to read it again with you, Davey. Okay, I'm excited.
That's so exciting.
You could once you're done, you can listen to the episode. It was a good conversation, and I think I mentioned last time when we were talking about Imzadi, of the book club discussions that I've hosted over the last few years, Imzadi is the one that was the most highly attended. There were a lot of people just chiming in, talking about that book. So that book kind of has I think a special place in the Trek readers fandom. Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, so exciting to have a new show on the network. And for me, so you can catch my two other BQN shows, the Trexperts Quiz, which will be live tomorrow at the same time that Let's Fly goes live. We've got two really cool guests lined up tomorrow. We have got drag performer Anna Rose, who will be on In Full Janeway Drag. And we also have Kennedy from Women at Warp taking on a Janeway and Cisco quiz. I'm so excited about this episode. You can also catch my other show, The Bargain Bin Gamer, spelt Gaymer. It's here on YouTube. There's also an audio version, but the YouTube version is usually the one to watch. I've just put up a review of Star Trek Voyager Elite Force, the 2000 first-person shooter. With viewed through a modern lens, maybe hasn't held up that well. Remember as well, you can also find me in the BQN Discord. It's such a fun place to hang out. The link for it is in the episode description. If you have any problems with the link, just let us know in the comments. We'll generate a fresh one for you. Come and join us. It's so good. So we will be back next week where we'll be looking at episode 7, which is going to be called Erigar. So if you're looking for more Mole and Locke, I think it's coming at you thick and fast, Amy Nelson. So strap in for that. Remember, join up at the Patreon, patreon.com/BQN. We are doing our monthly script read tomorrow as well, which has just been announced as Cupid. And there's already a fight for over who's going to be Worf, so they can say, I'm not a merry man. Lots of fun happening on the BQN right now. Join in. We'll see you here again for Let's Fly again next week. But until we do, make sure you live long and prosper, everyone. Thank you so much.